topic. And first of all, thanks to all of you for continued support. Let me make an important announcement for all of you. It's good news. All this particular our organization, Peer Project Managers Club of Pune, has completed 5 successful years. We are 5 years old and still young, I would say, and it's all because of the support of all of you who have been encouraging us to keep this show running. And I'm sure we will continue to get your support and collaboration to make it work, take it to the next greater heights. And a particular vote of thanks to the 3 founders, Vivek Prakash, Dr. Jayabai, and Ketan Gandhi, who are all on the call today. And today's session is going to be hosted by Vivek Prakash. We are talking of a very interesting topic in the relevant times today of remote working. Practically everybody is working remotely, not from their office location. And an interesting aspect being covered today would be the manager's perspective of working from home. All of us would be working as a member or as a manager or as a leader, and we would have learned a lot over the last 3 to 4 months in this scenario, which has come up without any planned notice or any advance information. So we would like to hear from Vivek about what should the leader or a manager do and to manage this situation. So over to you, Vivek ji.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kalyan, for introducing and starting the webinar. And thank you very much for all the participants for coming over here and showing your interest in this topic. And I am sure that you will get something, you will have some takeaway at the end of this program. Please do ask your questions, though you cannot speak out, but do ask your question, ask your questions to the chat box. And please do respond to that as well.
Vivek, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we lost the audio for a moment. Yeah, we lost the audio for a moment. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I am audible.
You're audible loud and clear now. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So let's get started with this. This is especially the purpose of this webinar to discuss issues related to how a team which is working from home stay productive as they are co-located, and in fact even more productive actually. This webinar is specially designed and prepared for managers and leaders, not especially for the team members, but keeping in mind the issues, the problems, or the needs of leaders and managers, especially in this unprecedented time where the kind of issues are completely new and we have never faced this kind of situation and not even sure what is going to happen tomorrow. Especially this kind of scenario that working from home is like this COVID-19 is changing the situation entirely, and the longer this period is going, more and more people are getting accustomed to this. And many organizations have recently announced that a good amount of people will never return to office. They will continue working from home. That means that the changes which all of a sudden has occurred may be a general practice even after the lockdowns are over and the full-fledged things start working. But the companies will take advantage because they have seen that the things are working well, and this way working is also a good way of working, and they can reduce their infrastructure costs having more and more people, especially the software industries, which is actually people intensive industry, and a lot of space is required for people to sit, and people can do the work from their homes. But it has its own challenges, and where the team is not co-located and is scattered around. And currently, when the managers or the leaders who are not used to this kind of scenario, uh, occasionally or sometime a part of team used to work from outside from the other locations, but that was a smaller thing actually. But majority of the team was around. But this situation has created a scenario that the complete team is out of touch, and you cannot see them from your eyes. You don't know what they are doing, but you still need the productivity from that. But every challenge comes with an opportunity, and the people who are looking to convert this challenge into opportunity, this is the right time to look into this. Probably this kind of scenario will continue a couple of more months, and many people predicting that probably till the end of this year. And as the companies are coming out and saying that we will continue with this kind of scenario despite the lockdown over, I think it will be a permanent thing. And let's see that how we can convert this challenge into opportunity, and will be flourishing into a new world where this thing will be a new normal altogether. This will help us to look into those competencies that will help lead the team from anywhere. That means it doesn't matter the team member is sitting next to me, in front of me, left hand or right side, or 100 kilometers up. This also gives an opportunity for us to develop those leadership skills which make leaders' presence completely redundant. Whether you are existing around, we are sitting around, it doesn't matter for the team members. He will remain as productive as like he was earlier or later, or even when you are in front of him or not in front of him, the productivity does not have any difference. And this kind of skills and this kind of scenario we will be talking about. When the day starts and when it ends. Many of my students or many of my participants of the workshop, they often tell that we never know when the day actually ends, and it's keep going on, going on. Longer and more irregular hours because of this, as the people's time is taken for granted, and this probably sometimes people get irritated and blame it to their manager that he's not managing it well. And that's the thing which come on us. Many times people feel isolated. The increasing concern over the job security, as the people say that if the situations are not turning around and
Vivek sir, you are not audible.
Vivek, can you hear us? Yeah, this is technical glitch. Sorry. We'll take a couple of minutes. We'll be back again.
okay, I'm back actually. So
Vivek, you will have to repeat maybe some portion of it earlier because we lost you. Your audio.
Sure.
Yeah. From this.
Yeah, I will come back on this.
Yeah.
So basically, we are looking into the team members issue, because we need to take care of that. If we are not take care of that, then actually you cannot be a good leader as such. The work-life balance is one of the things I think which is actually hitting the people most. And longer working hours, when they are starting, when they are ending, it's just not very much this. Everything become very fuzzy as such. Sometimes feeling isolated because the people are not around, which was a common scenario earlier. Sometimes job security also has an issue because if the things are not turning around, many people may lose the job. In fact, I know already that many people have lost the job. So this also create a little kind of concern with the other people who have not or who are well in job, that maybe that can happen with them. And because they are not in touch with the management or with the HR and other people, this concern actually grows. Their family members are there, their health is there, they are living there, so they have to attend them as well. And sometimes unacceptability of the managers that this environment has to end faster. But I believe the last point is actually getting eliminated. Now everybody is actually accepting the scenario. This is not only today, maybe tomorrow as well. We'll continue with that. Let's look at the other side, the managers' concerns and issues. The manager's topmost concern is the productivity from the team, which is invisible. He thinks that the people are working from home, I cannot see them, and therefore they can take the advantage of the situation. They have target dates. Those dates are not changing. Even they are changing, they are not changing as much as the impact of this situation is. And therefore, the target date always looks nearer. And with the current scenario, where he is concerned about the productivity of the people, the target, his concern, most anxiety is about the way whether we will finish the project on time. He will find, because the people are not in front of us, he will find very difficult to sort out issues. Many times, bringing them into together into one of the room and then discussing without facing each other, because the body language is one of the things which communicate a lot, completely not existing now. So conflicts grow, and if the team member is not participating or trying to resolve the things on, the manager's job becomes very difficult. It is really difficult to manage some team members, that which can be true actually. Some people could be notorious, and because of this, other team members can get hit because the manager's view probably by and large remain the same. Or even if changes, it may not change that much because some people also always keep giving him the problem. I need to micromanage because the productivity is not coming out. Even earlier he was not used to do micromanagement, he may be worrying about it. So if the dates are coming closer, he's finding that we will not be able to achieve, the micromanagement may increase. And that may create further problem to the team member as well as the manager. Overall thing is that he thinks that the overall effectiveness is low and it has to improve. But the question comes, how to improve this? Now, with these all concerns, he also have the constraints around. Technological glitches, we just observed that my internet just got disconnected and I was out and then I have to come back, and this can happen in any meeting actually. Not prepared for the current scenario, it happened all of a sudden and we never know what's going to happen, and for a few months it was completely uncertain, and not even many times we are not even accepting that it will continue for a long time. There are security concerns from the organization which ultimately boil down on the managers to enforce. Poor employee engagement, especially the employees who joined recently, and especially the employees who are joining the company after the lockdowns are actually in force as such. And now how to engage them, that's not only the challenge with the project manager, but also the challenge of the HR. Absence of face-to-face communication, which actually reduce the body language, which actually play a larger role in effective communication. So the communication become very, very challenging, which allow the confusion and conflicts to grow. No exposure to handle team completely working from home. Such a scenario were never existing, but now it is the reality and it may continue like that. But not everything is so bad or always constrained of problems. There is some assets. Smartphones are quite available to everyone, and this is an asset. Even the computer is not available, things can be worked out even now, even with a smartphone. Acceptability to change. Earlier the acceptability was not that much, but now the situation is forcing people have accepted that this is the way to go. And now they are also accepting that maybe future this will be the new normal. Now because acceptability, people are now looking to find new ways how we can work in this environment, maintaining the security, confidentiality, dealing with the technological glitches and work out. And this webinar is one of such effort. The question arises with all these concerns of the team members and all these constraints and the assets of the manager, what is to be done? Now, don't expect me that I'm going to talk about the communication channel, how you can effectively communicate. I think you already have a lot of web conferencing tools and other tools which a company may have provided you, or you have chosen one of them. A lot of web conferencing tools, audio, video tools, collaboration platforms are there. I'm not going to talk any of them, and telling that these things, how these things can bring team members closer. But I'm going to talk about the skills which a person can develop, which make it irrelevant whether the team member is sitting next to me or 100 kilometers away. Either one team member is away or the whole team is away. It doesn't matter. I'm talking about those kind of skills, and I will discuss those things in the coming portion. I will discuss how you lead your team, bind all team members as one team, align them towards one goal, improve team coherence despite scattered, reduce distractions, and inspire them so that they do the work as their own, not as their manager's work. This will help delivering better results, even better than you might have got in a co-located environment. The whole question comes how, but that's what I'm going to discuss. Let's look at what managers want. People take responsibility of their work. Right? Remotely, if the people take responsibility, the managers has coordination is minimal. Most of the coordination happens because he thinks or people are not taking responsibility. Remain committed to project objectives. Remain committed to timelines. No monitoring required, no follow-ups required, or minimum monitoring and follow-ups. Monitoring and follow-ups, everybody does it because they feel it is required. If anytime you think that monitoring and follow-ups are not required, you will see that you will feel very relaxed. So if we create an environment, if we create a situation where the monitoring and follow-ups are not required, you will see that that's a great environment to work for you and as well for your team. You also want the team members should not take the advantage of the situation, cheat us or lie to us. Highlight issues, help resolving problems, and do not use these issues as an excuses of not completing the work. Proactively collaborate with other team members and complete the work. And this happens when they take responsibilities and committed to objectives. Take and goes an extra mile in resolving conflicts with the other team members, if there is any, and help managers in getting it done. Rise to this kind of occasion and stay motivated. But again, the question arises, yes, I want all this, but how this will happen? This looks very rosy situation and very ideological situation. I think we all look for such a situation, but how this will be achieved? Now I would like you to take a kind of survey. You will see that there are 15 questions here. And you can look at your boss and relationship with the boss with you and how your managers are working. You can answer these questions in 6 ways. That it happens always, it happens mostly, often, occasionally, rare, or it never happens. So take your pen and paper and start answering these questions. I will give you 5 minutes to answer these questions. And whenever you give the answer, you can score it. The score is given in front of the option you choose. If you choose option always, the score is 5. If you choose the option often, the score is 3. If you choose the option rare, the score is 1. So choose the option and score it. Total the score and put your score in the chat box. Mr. Ketan Gandhi is waiting for your response. And he will collaborate and we'll discuss this result later. So 5 minutes for you to do this exercise, answer these questions, and put your score in the chat box. I will be muting me for 5 minutes. So I think we have got good responses, and it's a time to restart, resume the thing. Meanwhile, when Mr. Ketan Gandhi is compiling this information and he is ready, we'll come back with his assessment. Mr. Gandhi, whenever you are ready, please let me know. Okay. Now, just look at this. This is, you have assessed your boss, and probably just look at this, that somebody will be assessing you as well as a manager. Now, just put yourself in his place and see and answer these questions as a team member for you. Or probably you can have this survey done with your team members and find out something which you probably don't know about yourself, and assess yourself, where do you stand, right? And then you can, whatever assessment you have of your own, then the next part of this presentation will help you to compare that, where do you stand and what should be done to move further from that place.
So Vivek, I'm ready with summary. Can
okay,
I share?
Great. Yes, you can just.
So we have
You can unmute your video and video as well. So let people see you.
Okay, yeah. So thank you very much, all of you. There were quick.
You want to present something or you want to just speak out?
No, I'm just giving the brackets of the score, and then you can interpret and share as
Sure.
you go along your presentation. So we had 30 quick responses. Out of 30, 3 responses were above 60, between in the range of 60 to 75. Then we have 14 responses in the range of 45 to 59. We have 11 responses between 30 to 44. And then we have 2 responses below 30. So
how many responses below 30?
2. So
2.
total, yes. So 3, 14, 11, and 2. These were the responses out of 30.
Okay.
So as you go through presentation, maybe you can share your findings about this.
Okay, can you put this information in the chat box? Let the people.
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay. So this is a good assessment, and we can see that like where the bosses where our bosses stand in the overall spectrum. And probably when you do this kind of assessment for yourself, you will also see that where you stand in the overall spectrum and what is to be done. Let's move ahead with this. And I will set a stage actually to discuss the points which I have to present you. And the stage is a theory called McGregor theory, called theory X and theory Y. Now this theory have talks about 2 viewpoints of managers. One is called manager X, another is called manager Y. And manager X and manager Y actually have contrasting view. This theory is a belief of 2 different managers. Theory X and are completely opposite contrasting view. The theory X manager see his team as they dislike the work, they avoid responsibility, resist change, they don't want to change, they have to be controlled, they need to be forced to do the work, also be threatened, they should be supervised at every step, they should be micromanaged, they will not work if they do not have a visible incentive or a threat to complete the work. Therefore, need to be rewarded or given punishment depending upon the outcome. Now, this is one side of the spectrum, right? The other side of a spectrum is this. When theory Y manager thinks that people are internally motivated, they are happy to take initiative and take responsibility, they're enthusiastic about their work, enjoy taking ownership and taking up the roles which normally offer to them, accept responsibility, do not need any kind of supervision. They see their work as challenging and fulfilling. They participate in solving problems and bringing initiatives and bring new ideas to improve the work. So it's a very, very positive thought process, and on the other side is a very negative thought process. And basically what happens when people think like X, a manager think like X, or manager think like Y. So when a manager think like X, his behavior actually shows to the other people, and people take an assessment of this person as he is a taskmaster, dictator, bossing, supervisor, ensure efficiency. Like sometimes you say, oh, did you come at the 9 o'clock exactly or not, right? So time becomes more important than the work you do within that time. Carrot and stick. Carrot and stick is quite popular actually, but you see that It is a thought process of manager X. Many of the reward systems in the organizations are actually come from the thought process of the manager X. That people think that if they give a very tangible rewards to the people, they will be very happy and they will do a good work actually, or otherwise they will be punished. So reward and punishment is a thought process of a manager X, though it is quite popular in the industry. Many times we think that managers X view may be at too extreme. But when the manager Y actually behave, or the person who believes like manager Y, he behaves, the people see his perceive him like that he's a guide, he's a mentor, he's an advisor, he's a counselor. He looks at the efficacy, that is effectiveness, and understand the people need, do not go into reward and punishment kind of scenarios, behavior. Now, looking at this, yeah, I think there is a question which I can take up right away, which I am thinking that what is my assessment of this survey? No, survey, actually, it's not about the assessment of the survey actually. It is about that how people are, and I will correlate this, this information with the coming slides and coming information as such. Now look at this. On one extreme, there is a manager X. On one extreme, there is a manager Y. And most of us probably will fall into somewhat X and a combination of X and Y in between. I don't think many of us will be a pure X and many of us will be a pure Y. We are all mix of X and Y, and there is nothing wrong with being an X and Y. Many times we need, we are actually looking for time, not actually for the effectiveness, and that's become important. So depending upon the situation, we take different approaches because we think that way. So sometimes we take X approach, sometimes take Y approach, so we keep changing and we are become a mixture of X and Y. And what the survey you see actually, it is nothing but the mixture of X and Y. You will see that very few people are on the Y side, and on the other side also, very few people on the X side, right? So only 3 people are above 60 and only 2 people are below 29. Most of the people are in this area, like where most influencing by X and Y, and that is what actually this survey is proving. And probably if we do this survey for ourselves also, we will also see the similar kind of results. It may not be very different from what we have got. So what is being X or Y? Though there are advantages and disadvantages for the things, the X approach brings quick results. However, in long term, it will damage the working environment and reduce the effectiveness of the people. It increases the stress in the workplace. Now, many people talk about there is a lot of stress at the workplace. You know, most of the stress comes from the X manager thinking. A Y manager thinking does not increase the stress. In fact, it does just opposite. It reduces the stress. The Y approach take a little while to get the results, but they will be permanent, uplift the working environment and reduce the stress. The problem is of time. We are in so hurry. In fact, many times we say we are in rat race. And rat race is something which actually forces us to bring result very quickly, which force us to take X approach, then Y, because we do not want to wait. And Y approach does not bring very quick results. But look at the other side, the X approach bring result quickly, but they are short-lived. their shelf life is very, very less. Though the Y approach bring the result little later, but they are permanent, they give very good results. And retention is very high. The shelf life is very, very high actually. Now, let me take another survey from you, and you probably like do something. This is a approach actually, and let me put up a poll for you. Suppose you want to prepare a project plan. You do not have much time in your hand. Which approach you will apply? Let me launch a poll. You can respond to a poll actually instead of putting it into the chat box. Just a minute. Give me a moment. I don't know where. Okay. So there is a poll to you, and you can respond to it. Okay, you can just little quickly respond to this. I have got 28 responses. Because there are more people, I expect that more people will respond to this. More people will respond, better results we actually will get. This response does not record who is responding actually. There is no mechanism here to figure out who actually responded what answer. It just be a consolidated outcome. Great. I think we have almost got 38 responses, and let me end this poll. It's the time to end the poll. If last 10 seconds, if anybody want to respond, respond. Otherwise, I just close this poll. Good. Now let me share the results to you. Are you able to see the results?
Yes, Vivek.
So it is the maximum people have used the approach of mix of X and Y. Then the next approach is manager X and then manager Y. So people have taken, the least number of people have taken the approach of manager X, that is the 4 people, 9 people have used X and 27 people have used X and Y. Let me stop this and close this. Now this is nothing like very special has come out. This is what generally happens. So we're expecting the similar kind of responses. Look at this, that what will happen when we take this approach, different approach, what will happen? If you use the X approach, what happens? You get quick results, but at a cost. It will not sustain and damage your reputation and credibility for a moment. Like you are not doing everything like this, but in this instance, yes, people will not like you because you are using a X approach. Team will not have buy-in in the project plan. You will develop a project plan, but the team will not having a buy-in in this plan. They will do it because you are forcing them to do it. Trust level will be low and it will lead to low productivity. The reason is that first they don't have buy-in in the plan, so they will not do until and unless you are present there. So if you are present, you are monitoring, you are following up, they will do it, but otherwise they will not do it because they don't have a buy-in. So this approach will result into more follow-ups, more monitoring, a little bit of stress also at the workplace. If you use a mixed approach, X and Y, which most of the people have taken and which we most of the time do it, most of the time we will use X approach first, and then we will, because we have time, because we need quick results, so we'll take a Y approach a little later. But what happens in this case, we will start on a negative note. Actually, it should be note. You will lose the trust at the beginning. We will be seen as controlling manager. Environment gets spoiled in the beginning itself. And when we start using the Y approach, we need to do a lot of damage control. So our overall effort will increase. This will add the efforts, stress, and the work in the lot of work in the workplace. Even the mixed approach. But on the other side, if we do not want to monitor every now and then, we need better productivity, want a high level of trust, want more respect and credibility, want to be a leader who guides the team. There is no choice except to use Y approach. Though it looks a little distant dream right now, but if you use a Y approach, you probably do not have much time. Your plan preparation will get delayed, but probably you take more time in developing the plan, but that plan will be sustaining. People, you need not to follow up with them. People will themselves do it, and you win the credibility actually, and higher trust level in a trusting environment can be created. But if I really need urgently this plan, I say it rarely happens that we need full-fledged plan urgently. Probably a portion of the plan, what is the need? If we develop only that much plan, which is the need of the hour, and rest of the plan can be developed later, you probably can use the Y approach in both the conditions. We are using X approach because we have taken a thing that the whole plan to be developed very quickly. If a small portion, for example, if I develop first phase plan right now, at least there is a pressure of starting the work. So I develop a first phase plan, and then first phase plan is in place. I start the work with the first phase plan, and then I have time from phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, whatever it is, enough time to develop the remaining plan. And we will still use the Y approach without any impact on the environment or any other place, and still develop a good project plan. Right? So this question always remain there and till the time we're going to address, but now I'm going to address this. How we can move towards Y. Now we are a mix of X and Y. That's why we responded a mix of X and Y. But mixing of X and Y is also not a very good approach overall. It will not give us the kind of productivity, kind of response we are expecting. Let's discuss these things, that how we can turn around in our behavior and move towards Y, so that no follow-ups required, no monitoring required, no physical presence required. I don't need the team to sit in front of me, because team has buy-in, team trust, team has have faith in this. The team own the things, therefore they themselves will do. There is no physical presence required. What they need is guidance, mentoring, and problem solving help from the manager. But it only happens when we use a Y approach. Let's look at how we can move from X to Y or XY to Y approach. I will say, we often ask question, what team members can do for me? You recruit a person and you ask technical questions. You ask what he has done. You ask all those questions to understand how he can fit into my project, or how he going to positively contribute in my project. Now you will be asking, is there anything wrong with this? No, not at all. There is nothing wrong. You must know with this. But what we ignore completely, that what we can do for the team members. Have we asked every time the team member what he needs from us? What is his expectation from the project? How he will be happy in the team? If he is not happy in the team, tell me how he will be productively working. So my approach should change, that instead of asking first how the team member can do what for me or for my project, let's see what project and me can do for the team members. And this will completely change the scenario. This one approach will completely change the scenario, and your response will trigger the entirely different kind of response from the team member. Basically, you must have seen the team members basically react to what you do, not their own thing. The team member change from one place to another place. They report to different project manager and therefore respond to that differently, because they react to how managers treat them. You treat them better, they will treat you better in the same way. Let's ask, why do someone report to me? How I can add value into this person? This person has come with X. Will he go back with X plus 1 or with X or X minus 1? He will go back with adding some value in his skills, in his career, in his personality, in his style, something more when going back from this, when getting released from this project. What is the benefit to my team members being in my team? Why not he should be in others person team? Why should be in my team? What kind of advantage he has? If there is no advantage in my team or in others team, then it is irrelevant. Like he can go to, he will be wherever he finds some other attractive things, he will go over there. But I tell you, I have seen leaders who are very, very careful about the team members, what they want and what kind of benefit they will get. And I've seen they work with them even much lower salaries. And even I ask them, why you're working with so outside there are a lot of salaries actually, and you probably get a double salary of that. And he respond, no, you don't know what we are getting here. This is something which we never get anywhere. This kind of response I get. And that's what make everything different. You are getting the same work done at a lower cost while adding invaluable benefits to this team member. And it's a win-win scenario. What can be better than that? Work in the interest of the people. If you work in the interest of the people, I think everything we will see will soon turn around. This itself is a mindset. We go from X to Y. And one parameter itself will change the scenario very significantly. Let's move from penalizing to appreciating. Now, this is very confusing thing. I don't know when I'm penalizing or when I'm appreciating. First time I say, he should do some work which will be appreciated. Then we also think that, is he doing only the work for which he can be penalized? Then there is something wrong with me also. That I'm not able to give him some work where he can do some appreciating work altogether. The person cannot be so negative that he can only be penalized. You see that look at yourself, and even myself actually look at this and see that how many times we praise people and how many times we give them challenges and without any help, and how many times we actually penalizing in nature. Count that, you will see that praising is much lesser than the penalizing behavior which we demonstrate, while it should be opposite. Very simple thing, you become eligible to penalize only when you appreciate 10 times. So whenever next time you are trying to penalize somebody, please count, have you appreciated him 10 times? If you not, you don't deserve to penalize anybody. So your deserving matrix is here, that if you appreciate a person 10 times, then penalize him, I probably will say you that you probably never need that penalty altogether. That by the time you will praise him 10 times, the 11th time you will not see that kind of behavior which requires penalty. You start counting it from tomorrow itself, or I'll say from today itself. Count it, write it down in the paper, write the name of the person and say how many times I have praised him. How many times don't artificially praise. It should be natural praise. It should be genuine praise. Find out something good this person will be doing. Maybe small, but praise him for the small thing as well. Many times we penalize for a very small thing, but praise for a very big thing. And this, the whole equation changes. Let's praise for every small thing and penalize for big mistake. Can we turn this around? We can. You will see the things will change. Let's move from aggressiveness to assertiveness. From where the aggressiveness comes? Again, the aggressiveness comes from time, the time pressure. Actually, most of the managers are marred with the time pressure. And this is the biggest single reason for high level of stress at workplace. Now, why the time pressure? This is chicken and egg story. Because we are not assertive, therefore it takes more time. Because it is take more time, I run out of time and I become aggressive. Because I'm aggressive, the team productivity goes down. Further, it will be productivity low, and there is no situation for assertiveness because I need it quickly, even more quickly. You will see it is a simple downward spiral. We are not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. Simply. Look at the behavior around you, that whether I am aggressive or assertive. Look at the assertiveness. In fact, a more appropriate word is demanding. Look at where I am a demanding person. I want demanding. I need this by tomorrow, right? By evening, this report should be on my table. No, I can't wait. We really, we are already running late. How many times you learn how many times you speak these terms? I can't wait anymore. Why did you do that? Because I have a time pressure. I can't really accept any kind of mistake. Insult other people by saying, don't work hard, work smart. How many managers have told their subordinates? I've seen so many people, they think they are helping the team member. In fact, they are insulting the team member. They're directly telling that you are basically a stupid person. You are actually working hard. Why you should work smart? I'm smarter than you, therefore I'm telling you you work smart. You're basically directly insulting the person. You're directly, instead of telling that you are doing a dumb job, you are telling that you are working hard, please work smart. I haven't seen such a insulting statement, otherwise a diplomatic insulting statement than this. Are you also using this? Have anybody used on you? Did you find praised, or do you find better, or did you find something like the other person has told you something good and your blood is circulating like anything and you are enthusiastic about doing the next job? If you don't do this, then this. Repercussions should be provided first before you give the job. Does not give other people a chance to speak. You just only speak. That's good enough. That is aggressiveness, right? I want this thing by tomorrow, and after that I will sit on this for 5 days. That is a demanding person doing nothing. But on the other side, there is an assertiveness. We ask probing questions. Do you see any hurdle in achieving it? Before, as you give the work, you ask the person, have you seen any problem with this? Probably you will listen, let me look into this and come back to you. So that means the next day I have to again ask this question. He probably may not come back. Again ask this question. Are you facing any problem or any hurdle or achieving it, or you can achieve it? Probably he still say I can achieve it, because he's less experienced, may not see the risk coming up. But being a senior person, I should see that risk first. Not a problem, but this question asking will help other person understand that there is a help available if there is a problem. It's a gesture actually which presented. Make faster decision to demonstrate how to do it. Take risk on yourself. Now you give the work to somebody, he probably have not done this work or not so experienced, he may take more time to take a decision. But you want faster. So if you want faster, then take risk on yourself. You say, let's take a decision, let's sit down together, let's work it and take a decision right now. You go ahead, if anything problem occurs, I'm responsible, let me see into this. You don't worry about it. You make him risk-free. You make him risk-free. If you see that if you make him risk-free, how effectively that person works. Because he's risk-free, he doesn't fear that if he goes wrong, something wrong, drastically wrong is, or some punishment is coming to him. Take risk on you. Don't put people on the risk. Show empathy. If there is something problem, you try to understand the person. Let me see what the problem is, right? Ask him, let me see what the problem is. If a problem occurs, try to understand it. Suggest instead of directing. And also just suggestion. Don't say, why don't you try this out? I think that I see this team doing this and therefore they get some advantage. Why don't you speak to him and figure out what is there? Despite you knowing the whole solution, let's help the person to find out the solution, his own. This way, the solution will be owned by him. And if he succeed, he will feel good and you get an opportunity to praise him. Actually, don't try to be more smarter than your team members. Put people at more smarter position. Say that you are more smarter. Yeah, you have done this very well, actually. Fantastic. Despite your guidance, you don't take any credit of the success and praise him like anything. You see that how the blood circulating the veins and the arteries, and person does the work better than. Don't punish the people, but invoke a self-punitive attitude. Self-punitive attitude is that you don't punish the person, but you do something which tell the people that it is the self-punitive. Looks like I couldn't explain you properly. Let me try to do this, or let me explain you again. Or I think I should be punished for that. In fact, you take this from, I have read the book of Mahatma Gandhi, and he was like that only. Whenever he found that his people are not working well, he always take a self-punitive action. He went on fast and say, okay, I think this has not gone wrong. I have not able to manage this properly, and therefore it is my duty to correct this, and I start with a 3 days of fast. And he put this 3 days fast on himself, giving no penalty, no punitive action on the defaulting party. This is something and that make the person so great. Actually. Move from motivating to inspiring. Now, this may surprise you because motivating has a high praise in all over the corporate worlds. But I say inspiring has an even higher thing. The reason is that I want to motivate him means I want to do something for somebody. But that doesn't work. We need not to act on others. We can only act on ourselves. I should become an example. So again, the Gandhi says, if you want to see a change, become a change. Become an example of that. Probably you think that people are not doing, you demonstrate how it can be done. Instead of pushing the people, telling that you are not working harder, you are working harder, let's work smarter. So you say, okay, I show that, I think, let me see that how we can do it and get involved in it and guide the team together along with you, or you do this and show that how it can be achieved. Probably set an example to the people how it can be worked. So this is what we also call referent power in leadership style, that you gain the power, and we call referent power. Referent power means you can refer that how the other person does. You demonstrate by doing it, not just by directing the person. When you do this, you inspire other people to do this. People copy their leaders actually, especially when the leader is absent. If I have set good examples, people are bound to take good decisions because that's the example I have set. Become a live example for the people. As I said, don't say you did not understand. Say, I think I couldn't explain you properly. Let me try again. Move from downloading to delegating. Now, downloading and delegating, what is the difference? I am overflowing with the work. I am unable to handle. Now I am looking for a victim on which I will put this. This is called downloading. I don't have. I have 10 works to do. I can do only 6. I need 4 people who can take the 4, and I put them randomly on somebody. Okay, you do it. In a short time, I just try to find out who can do it and put him on. And because I am already filled, I don't have any time to support this person. And when this person come for the help, they say, I couldn't understand. Then you tell him that, see, if all this help I have to give you, then I can better do it. Come on, yeah, the person is doing it first time, need help. And that's the difference between delegating and downloading. Downloading is spontaneous without any thought process. It just overflowing on the other person. While the delegation is a strategy. You see that who are the people working for you and who can do this, who is the right candidate, and what kind of gap is available, what kind of help this person will need once I give the work to him. And when you give the work to him, you provide that kind of support. You also follow up with him. Is he able to do it or not? This way, you help the person uplift his skills. The people, this is itself a delegation, itself a praise, because you telling people that he is capable of taking up something more than what he's doing today. This is an indirect message. This is a praise actually. And then, but if you download, then it is not a praise because he will need help and you will actually will not provide any kind of help. This will be more demoralizing. Moving from tricking to trusting. Now, tricking means let's accept we all have some problems sometimes that we cannot solve. We don't have an answers. We cannot say yes or no, or we don't want to say yes or no. We don't want to answer right now. What we do, we give some round and round answer. We give some kind of we give some kind of dose which the person will get away. Try to avoid the question. Try to save yourself from the question. Give him something here and there which does not make any sense or which is wrong actually. Sometimes we even give wrong information. We tell him that it has come from the top management which has not come from the top management. We try to put somebody and try to bring this thing which is not there actually. You try to trick the people without understanding that this is not a one-day job. This is not a one-day relationship. We are going to live together for some time. He is intelligent enough to understand that my manager is tricking me. He's not telling me right things. This is a 6 month, 1 year type of relationship, right? I am sure that you have a recruiting system which only allow intelligent people to come in. So if it is an intelligent person, he will understand that you are tricking. And if he is not an intelligent person, then what are you doing with this person in your team? Remember, what goes around, that comes around. If you trick the person, he will trick you back. And then he will trick you back. You will be angry that he is trying to fool me. But you never remember, you tried to fool him first. Please do remember. We also move from taking decisions to facilitating decisions. We don't take decisions. We bring people together to take decision together, facilitate decision, involve people in that so that everybody owns the decision. Everybody is involved, decision transparent, and everybody involved in the team in the decision making, therefore they own the decision. It is not your decision, it is everybody's decision, it is their decision. Because it is their decision, ownership comes, and therefore they apply more religiously than you say them and then apply. Otherwise, they are doing your job, not their own job. So make them that it is their own job. But be flexible. If it requires some kind of change, then be ready to change. And that's the flexibility which a leader shows. Now looking at this, these are the few things. In fact, there are several things can be added like this, but these things I found pretty important. I brought it to you. Now these things are not just important in the working from the home team. These things are always important, even you are co-located, but these things become very, very important, extremely important, almost unavoidable in a situation where the people are geographically scattered. If you don't have this thing is just not going to work. In a co-located environment, you can work with the task-oriented situation. Even there, if you approach this is far better. But in a totally scattered environment, it will be very, very difficult for you. So it's better to take this, and learning this is very, very good, because tomorrow if the lockdown is over, you start working with a co-located environment also. Even then, these things work very fine, and it will put you in a different league of leaders altogether. These things do not work over in 1 shot and 2 shot and 3 shot. You have to develop a culture. Culture means how the culture is developed when you do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and when you do it continuously, it's become your nature, and we call it culture. It is similar to when you take things from conscious to subconscious. You start riding on the bicycle first time, you are very conscious, but over a period of time, it becomes subconscious. You don't really bother about it. Similar is the culture. When you take initiative, it takes time. You have to, if you do not repeat them, they will go away. But if you continuously repeat them, like you learn the cycle, after certain time, this become your habit. This become a complete environment, and we call this culture. And culture is very important, because culture will create the environment which will be very productive for the people. Thank you very much for listening me. The deck is open for the question answers. And if there are already some questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Yes, Vivek, there are a couple of questions.
Okay.
The first question was, for some team members, a manager may seem like X. And for some other employees, the same manager may seems to be adopting style Y.
Right.
So how to deal with this kind of situation?
Okay, it is not about the other managers, it's about me.
Okay.
It's about me. I have to assess myself, how I am behaving, and I should behave similar to with all the employees, all the reports, not 1 or 2 reports or 3 reports. Otherwise, this will not be a Y manager. So it is all about me. It's not about others. Let others do whatever they do, because it is beyond our capability. Right? In the Gita, Krishna says that जो हो रहा है वो सब अच्छा ही हो रहा है, जो उसकी चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है, जो अपने बस में नहीं है उसकी चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं. Whatever in our capability, let's think about that. Let's do not bother about people who are like other people. Let's see, can we become a Y manager? That is good.
Okay. Are these points, as you suggested, couple of actions that a leader or a manager can adopt or bring a behavioral change? Will this only help in work from home environment?
No, everywhere actually. That's why I said that this works all the time. These are leadership skills which anybody can lead. So, but what I said, in a working from home environment, they become very, very important, because in a co-located situation, because the people in front of you, you can still work without them, though it generates work. But in a work from home environment, these are unavoidable. You can't really work without them. And you will get hit hard if you don't develop these kind of skills.
Okay. Is this moving towards Y or achieving the ultimate Y is the dream, or it can be achieved?
It can be achieved. It's not like a moksha, but in the management, it is like a moksha.
No, from the organization point of view, because if you talk to many managers or recruiting people, recruiting in charge, they say we need a task master. We need a manager who is a task oriented.
Right.
And if a person is towards a people oriented, then obviously there is no fit between the job and the person.
I agree with you that
how to deal with this situation.
I agree with you that in the corporate, the kind of practices are there. The manager X get promoted faster than the manager Y. But as I said, manager Y approach is long term. And I'm sure that manager Y approach will ultimately result in a greater benefit to the person in his career, if he doesn't attach himself to any organization, if he see his own growth, his own development, then I can say at the end of the career, he is the person who has the last laugh.
Okay. There's one more question that in the small companies, most of the time we are working on 2-3 projects simultaneously. So I feel it's difficult to work on some of these points for us.
Yeah.
Because project life cycles are pretty small, 6 months or less, and then maintenance from old projects comes up. So how to deal with this situation?
Absolutely right. That's why I say that start moving from wherever you are towards why. So this cannot be done overnight. This is a behavioral change, and this will happen slowly. But if you are committed towards it, and if you really believe in that I can achieve why, then I can say that it will not take much time. One project execution is good enough for you to do that. Basically, in one project, you have to put a lot of efforts to get this going. But yes, it takes time to change the behavior, but behavior change is not about time. Behavior change is about mindset. If your mindset changes in a day, then next day you are a different person altogether. I can tell you, you take several leaders in this world. Everybody has changed in a day. Again, I will take an example of Mahatma Gandhi only, that he has a bad, extreme experience in one day, and then which changed his complete thought process. But he didn't become Mahatma in one day, but thought process has changed. By mindset, he has changed. So if you see that this is the way to go, I can tell you next day you are working on it and you will soon become a very good leader. There is no doubt about it. You do not bother about one project or two projects. It is all about mindset change. If your mindset changes that you believe that this is going to work, then it is going to work for you. There is no doubt about it.
Okay.
So the challenges are there. This is for sure. Challenges are there. You are actually for some time will be flowing in the reverse direction of the flow, and for that you have to cut the flow definitely, but it will be for some time only, and then the flow will go along with you.
There's another interesting question: that does organization structure impacts work from home?
Yes, absolutely, but the organization culture is made by us. Now I have seen this organization has a culture, but I have seen within a project, within a particular group, if the leader is good, he can still change the behavior within that group. I have seen groups where people look to join that group within the same organization. The people have gone outside, outside, and they leave that group, but when they come back, they first call this manager and ask, can I join your team? And then go to somewhere else. So within the organization, a small group can work very well. And you see that sooner or later, people will start noticing you.
Okay. There's another question. Can we get a copy of presentation? So can you share Facebook group details and WhatsApp group details so people can join those groups?
Yes, absolutely. So this presentation will be shared on the WhatsApp group, and the whomsoever has joined will receive an email, or you can join our WhatsApp group. I think I don't have a link. Ketan, if you have a link, you can post it in the in this.
We will post the link, but
yes,
just share that we have a Facebook group and we have
yes,
a WhatsApp group as well. So please join if you have not joined any of these groups, so that
right,
you get a future program information as well.
correct.
There's another question.
Yes.
That in practically all leaders wants to achieve revenue and nobody actually looks towards the empathy side. And they are pretty vocal about this. So it leads to a demotivating atmosphere in the team.
Right.
How can we address this?
Yeah, that is the current environment actually, corporate. And we, as I said, for some time we have to like swim in the reverse flow. So these things not going to change actually. So our job is that we change ourselves, keeping our manager's requirement in focus. So like team has a requirement, our manager also has a requirement. So let's take what is the manager's requirement, do that, and rest of the time you have a freedom to do the things. So don't sacrifice your manager's requirement. Don't sacrifice your team. In fact, that is what anyway recommending. But you consider your team, your manager also as a resource to you, and include your manager in your team and take care of his requirement also. Then I think this problem will reduce as such.
There's another interesting point has come up, that theory X is needed for a project execution, where task relation is very, very important. Once the project may be over, then Y theory may be more effective. Is it like this?
What we will do with Y theory when the project is over?
Okay.
So the thing is that when the project is executed completely with the X, then how the person who is for 6 months using X become Y from the next day?
Right.
This is attitude, right? This is a nature. This is a habit. You whatever you practice, you become that person. So if you are practicing X, you will be X person. You cannot be Y.
Okay.
It's not like that. Today you behave like X, tomorrow you behave like Y. It cannot happen that.
So isn't it a confusing situation that on the name of adaptability, you practice both looking at the situation? Is it that is a good approach, or you orient or you become Y and you follow Y in all situations?
No, I will say you have to use Y. You actually see, it's not a situation. It is you have to move towards Y. If you are moving towards Y, in whatever situation comes, you think like Y. If you are thinking like X also, then you are an XY person, which you are even today.
Yeah, that's
So
a confusion stage, right?
Current is a confusing state. So we have to come out from this confusing state and move towards Y. If you move towards Y, you will think like Y, whatever situation come in front of you.
Suppose individual leader, the person's leadership style is more suitable towards X. Is it harmful that the person becomes X fully and commit and work as per X in the current scenario?
I think if something is not suiting to you, you get away from there.
No, suppose I'm a X type of a person and I can't transform towards Y in spite of my some efforts. So if I can stick towards X, will it help me as an individual, as a project manager?
You remain X. All the advantage will come to you as X. X advantage will be there with you, and X all disadvantage will be yours.
Okay.
This will remain like that.
Okay, interesting. And there's one last point. The way there are X and Y, two different approaches or style, there are also two different kinds of employee. One would be a lazy group and one would be a very energetic and dedicated and focused and sincere group.
Right.
So how a Y, somebody adopted a Y, can deal with these two different group of employees?
Actually, I tell you that there are no lazy people. This is my perception. I have analyzed several situations. The people are lazy. Look at the person who is lazy. Is he lazy in all the conditions? No. Actually, if you see, he's not lazy in all the conditions. In many conditions, he is actually super fast because it's interesting to him.
Okay.
The person is lazy because the situation is not interesting or not conducive to him. We have to find, that's what I say, see what we can do for the people. So if we analyze the person, what is his takeaways, what his interests are, what he wants to be, there are two situations. Either he can fit in our situation. If he fits in our situation, then we have to address his needs. If we address his needs, he becomes interested. If he becomes interested, he will not be lazy. Other side is that he may not be a good fit for you. Then in that case, I will say there is no point moving towards in an unfit situation. It's better that you you relieve this person to be used on some other project without any negative repercussions. He's lazy, it's your perception. He is not actual. So without give him the chance to work in a conducive environment. That's what I normally suggest to my people where I consulting, that if the person is not fitting into you very well, it's better to give him an opportunity elsewhere.
Okay.
Somewhere which is more conducive, and see that is he lazy everywhere? Most likely he is not. He may not be good fit for your project. So then we can, but let's do not jump onto this conclusion very fast that he is unfit, because people may jump to this conclusion very fast.
Okay, let us take last one question, and then I'll request Professor Jayabai to give vote of thanks.
Right.
Today, the days for multitasking and multi-skilling. How
Correct.
would you like to fit Y theory in this kind of environment?
In fact, Y theory works very well in this environment because people are self-motivated in this case. People are inspired by you. People have an ownership. You need not to follow up. Whatever work come to them, because they have an ownership, they will find their ways of doing the things. They will find their ways. They will, and if they are not finding, they will come for help to you. And because you are going to help them, this can be done, or otherwise you will recognize that this cannot be done. There will be no two view. This situation comes when the manager think both the things can be done, and the team members think that only one can be done. So there could be no two views in this situation, in the Y situation. You and your team members will think in the same way. Either this can be both the things be done, or they cannot be done.
Okay. Fantastic answers, Vivek. You spontaneously answered all of these questions of wide range. So now I request Professor Jayabai to share word of thanks. Jayabai, sir.
Good evening to all of you. On behalf of Project Managers Club Pune and College of Engineering Pune, I thank Vivek Prakash sir for his excellent talk on the managing the working from the home teams, and giving these different theories, aspects related to manager X and manager Y, and how we have to move towards manager Y slowly, progressively, so as to benefit the organization as well as to the subordinates who will be working under that boss or that manager. So excellent presentation. I would like to thank also Kalyan Raman sir for initial introduction, and also Ketan Gandhi sir for interacting with Vivek Prakash sir. I wholeheartedly thank all the participants who were there for last 1.5 hours to their patient listening towards Vivek Prakash sir and the philosophies and content which he has excellently presented.